Joanna Hadaraska, is that it right? Do you like that? Is the founder and the CEO of Nutrition in Motion. It's a sports nutrition therapy coaching company fueling athletes' fun and fulfillment by balancing body, mind, spirit, and sport. She is a holistic nutrition therapy coach, energy worker, minister, author, speaker, and competitive triathlete. Joanna helps you identify the real cause of your symptoms and uses real food nutrition, the path to heal energy work, and essential oils to fix that issue for good. She creates a safe space for her clients to heal and restore balance from inside out. With Joanna's help, you can achieve unconditional loving, peace, and vitality every day. She specializes in GI distress, pain and stress management, fatigue, and sports nutrition. She's the author of Messages of Love and Inspiration for Every Moment to inspire all of us to respond with love by loving ourselves first. Fuel your fun and fulfillment by healing from the inside out, and then nutrition for mind, body, and sport. So thank you. I'm going to turn the table over to you.
Well, thank you for the beautiful introduction, even though I wrote it and gave it to her. And I want to thank all of you for coming to actually learn more about how to take care of yourself so that you can actually take care of others. So give yourself a pat on the back, because it's important to be able to learn from others, because we all have different talents and we have different gifts, and we can inspire others to basically be better versions of ourselves. So today I do want to talk to you about balance, because balance is kind of like that 4-letter word. A lot of us, we hear it, but we don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to take care of ourselves because we're too busy taking care of everybody else. Who's in that kind of situation where you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and everybody else's needs are taken care of, and then you get sick, or you get some kind of pain, or you get injured? Something is amiss. And what I do is to help to identify what that amiss is. And it's usually not just the physical symptom, because the symptoms are just your body's signal of a misalignment in either the physical, the emotional, the mental, or the spiritual planes. So what I want to talk about today is not that, we all fit into that 97% of Americans are stressed out of their mind, but really I want you to be the ones that are walking away from that stressed part and understand how to actually balance the body, mind, spirit, and the spiritual aspect too. So imagine a stool. Here's a stool. Here we have a stool. Imagine if, the 4 legs, you're the top of it. So that stool is called you. There's a physical leg, which is about how you eat, move, and sleep. And we can always work on that with an anti-inflammatory diet, balancing your blood sugar, helping you find the exercise that you love, and I like to call it movement therapy, because if you don't love it, then you're not really going to be doing it on a regular basis. So it's trying to find the things that make your heart sing. So we can balance the blood sugar, we can basically help you eat, move, and sleep better. And then the next leg is the emotional one, where you can feel better about yourself because you're eating, moving, and sleeping better, right? But what if you have a poor self-image? Well, it actually can be better if you eat, move, and sleep better, then you can actually feel better about yourself. But the next trigger that comes along, it derails you. How many of you have been in a situation where I'm on this really great diet plan, and I've lost weight, I'm looking good, and then all of a sudden you're like off that plan? What happened? Typically it's some kind of a stressful situation, and you fell off the plan, you fell off your wagon, so to speak. And what my job is to actually identify, well, what was that trigger, and how do we heal that trigger so that it no longer becomes a trigger? And then you can actually find comfort in healing the trigger as opposed to using food as the comfort. Because what happens when you use food as the comfort? So you eat cookies. Then you start berating yourself because you ate the whole sleeve of Oreo cookies and you couldn't just stick with 1 or 2, which is what was supposed to be on your plan. How can I be such a moron for, eating so many of these? Well, so then you basically start that cycle all over again. And you can go ahead and berate yourself with another restrictive nutrition plan because it's going to make you feel like you're in control. But really the only thing that needs to happen is that you need to give those emotions a hug. They're here to tell you something. The symptoms are here to tell you something. It's a misalignment with either that physical leg of you're not taking care of you with the food, the sleep, and the movement therapy, or it could be those emotions that are getting in the way, or it's that self-talk. You know, you look in the mirror and some therapists will be like, oh, just tell you, look in the mirror and really look in the mirror and say, I love you. Oh, you know what, that never worked for me either. It just really made me feel weird. And I don't know if anybody else has that same situation, but it's like, I couldn't do it. And for years I couldn't do it. Because there was something deeper than just talking to myself. And if somebody gave me a compliment, what was the first thing I did? I'd say thank you. But in my mind, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know what the hell they're looking at. I want a pair of those rose-colored glasses like they have. Because that's what I want, is what they have. And I want to be able to see that. Well, somewhere along the way of having, basically running away from all my stressors, I ended up with adrenal exhaustion. And I had done an Ironman, which, you know, competitive athletes, they keep adding more things onto their plate because, you know, that's where they feel like they're free. All their friends like them. They don't care if they have makeup on. They don't care if your hair's all jacked up. They just want you to be around and it's fun. I was running away from all the stresses of family pressures, the work pressures, the relationship pressures. My favorite new car got stolen. You know, you name it, I had it. And I ended up with adrenal exhaustion where 5 months after the Ironman, I'm like walking to the mailbox and back and needing to take a nap. And of course in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know, and my body was systematically shutting itself down. And this is I'm relaying this story because this is where I mentalized myself out of all the symptoms that were there. My monthly cycle stopped. 3 months later, I finally decided to call the doctor and said, you know what, I think I have a problem. I already was wired and tired and couldn't sleep. I was using caffeine and Cliff Bars as my food and nutrition so I could go do my next workout because that's where I felt free. So I was feeding my soul and getting the stress relief, but I was also completely depleting my body on a physical level. And because the mind is such a powerful thing, I didn't mind, so it didn't matter. So I ignored it until I couldn't move. And then I was sleeping 11 hours a night, literally sleeping 11 hours a night. And could start tasks, but could never finish them. I had ADD like you wouldn't believe because of my nutritional deficiencies. So I had to learn how to eat and how to take care of me. I had to learn, how did I get here? And that's what I do with my clients. I find out, okay, well, how did you get here? And it's usually some kind of stressful situation or chronic stresses that are going on, or some kind of a traumatic event, and that just starts the cascade of imbalance. Make sense? So I had to learn how to take care of me and find out, well, what makes me happy? And this has been like a 20-year process of learning what makes me happy, you know? And I know what makes me happy, and that's what I try to do for my clients, is try to find that balance of how do you take care of you? Because if it's an obligation, then we've got to find some kind of fun in there because that's something you have to do, you know? But we have to take the stress out of it, which is where I use my the energy work called the Path to Heal to identify what that trigger is so that we can actually release that trigger, let it heal, give it that big hug, and then you can go on with, okay, I can take care of me. I don't need to be triggered by other people's words. I don't need to be triggered by their actions, because all those triggers are a reflection of something inside of ourselves that just needs to be healed. Does that make sense? So I have a client, I'm just gonna give you a short, she sent me an email. This was last fall, and I had worked with her already on balancing the blood sugar a couple years ago, and we did some sports nutrition as well. But she sends me an email and says, you know, I hope you're doing, hi Joanna, hope you're doing well. I'm sitting here researching blah, 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 and she actually wrote down blah, blah, blah. What I can tell you is that I'm having hot flashes at night, and she's, I think, 43. I recently started during the day. Now I'm a moody bitch, I'm exhausted all the time, and I'm getting really fat, which in and of itself is its own collection of awfulness. And I've been exercising and trying to eat the best I can. So she's working on that eat, move, and sleep part better, because we worked on that before. Can you help with this? I don't want to be fat, tired, angry old lady. Well, of course, I responded with, sure, we can do this. So we just kind of went over the, how to balance the blood sugar, incorporated more of an anti-inflammatory diet, because that is always going to help with the stress. And then we identified, where is the stress really coming from? Well, at that point, she's, a divorced mom with 2 children. Her 10-year-old has Lyme's and PANDA, and I don't know if you're familiar with PANDA, but it's a neurological condition that comes from it's some kind of like an autoimmune kind of issue. But they get ticks. It's from strep, yeah. So it's something that they just get these nervous twitches and these ticks, and they're hard to control. So she's taking care of, the kids, the boyfriend, the house, the moving, the business, and all these things, and there's no time for her. So that's what we have to work on, is why are we not taking care of you? And where can we make the adjustments so that she could lose the guilt of, I just want to be I don't want to be a bad mom. But she also didn't want to be known as, I'm my 6th child's mom, and that's all I'm going to be remembered for. So we did actually the energy work, in addition to the nutrition therapy, and she's like, I feel like I can be me again, and I'm not my child's sick mom. I can do me first and not feel suffocated in everyday living. And not only did she benefit, but the kids benefited, and so did the whole family. So the energy work really is one of those things that if you're just addressing the how to eat, move, and sleep in just that physical leg, and not addressing the emotional and mental legs, then that stool is always going to be off balance. It's always going to be like rickety and falling over, and you're going to be in that place of feeling overstressed, overtired, and overweighted. Make sense? So by now you understand that relationship, that you've got to take care of all the 4 legs, and each one of us needs to take care of each one in a different way. Who wants to experience the energy work? Yeah, everybody wants to. That's why I'm videotaping it, because I want everybody to experience this Path to Heal energy work. And this is just one of about 80 some options that I have in terms of how it works. This is it's called the 15-minute wonder, and you will see that it really helps. I did a whole a workshop this weekend, and I was doing these with clients. For $20 a piece, which is half price of what it normally is, and I'm offering that for you as well. That if you're interested in doing your own private session, then that's the introductory rate. But they all came to me like, I'm stuck on something and I don't know what it is. I just know that I want to be here, but I don't know how to do it. So that's what this modality does, is helps to identify what is that unconscious, subconscious thing. And it could be a trigger, it could be an emotional wound, it could be some other issue that's just hiding under the surface. And it's hiding because we stuck it in a black box and tucked it away for it to be never seen again. So this helps to identify it, bring it to the surface, give it that big hug that it needs, and off it goes. And so then you can go and do whatever it is that you need to do, because we just changed the stability and increased the stability of that emotional, mental, and typically the spiritual leg as well, so that you could eat, move, and sleep better, and that you can actually include more fun and fulfillment in your life every day. Make sense? Okay. So I'm going to sit down, because it might be a little bit easier, but I'm going to go ahead and clear the energy, in case there wasn't any, in case there were any bad entities, then we're going to clear any negativity. And then I'm going to give everybody some divine love. And you may or may not feel the energy of the sound healing and the stones. And that's okay. There's not a right or wrong. Some people feel it and some people don't feel anything at all. But the shifts are happening because we are all energy, and all these things help to shift the energy so that it flows better, so that you can become more of who you want to be. So typically we have to have a, an intention. So I'm going to use cards. I'm going to use some cards to do the intention, but I'm going to open the session first with the blue onyx. And this is the technique is called the whole. And we're talking about the whole meaning like complete. Not the whole like the donor hole. We're talking about the complete whole. I release the false perception that I am separate from the whole and that my separateness makes me flawed. The release comes from loving all parts of me, and then I can love all parts of others. I am whole and I am healed. And just for fun, I'm going to do the technique a second time, just to give it more oomph. So, our healing intention is complete consciousness. I am me. Okay? So that's going to be our healing intention, is to amplify us being ourselves. Because that's who we know how to be best. Rather than trying to fit into that box that somebody else thinks that we need to fit into. You know? It's about just being ourselves at all times. And because I'm getting older, I need reading glasses. So this is also known as a chakra alignment. So I am going to use a pendulum to find out which chakra is out of alignment first. And as we're waiting, we can just hear the birds chirping outside. Can you guys hear that, or is it just me? That was like the perfect orchestra. No, it's... so we're going to the 7th chakra, which is all about remembering our God self and remembering our divine self. So we're going to identify why that divine self is locked. So defensiveness is blocking our remembering God self. Does that make sense to anybody? So defensiveness is blocking our connection to God's self. And God resides in your heart. But in order to be connected, it's that, what do you call that? I don't remember the name now, so. The third eye kind of thing, but it's a little bit higher up. So this is our connection to God. We feel that we have to be defensive of who we are, as opposed to just being who we are. Because the society wants us to be a certain way. Our families want us to be a certain way. Our loved ones want us a certain way. Rather than being ourselves and really connecting to the gifts that God gave us and connecting to the talents that God gave us, we try to do the things that other people say that is right for us. And that's what's blocking that connection. So we're defensive for what we're doing because we have a reason for it. Well, so-and-so said we should do it. So we're defending our reasoning. Does that make sense? Any questions? The birds are cracking me up. The birds. I think they're just here to amplify the energy. So. I think I'm going to kidnap one of them and bring them back home. So now the next one that seems to have a little block is our joyful expression of truth chakra, which is also known as the throat chakra. So in this one, it is unkind and remorse are blocking my joyful expression of truth. Anything come to anybody on that one? Unkind and remorse are blocking my joyful expression of truth. So if we actually spoke what was on our mind and what was all about ourselves and what we needed, we feel that we would be unkind to somebody else because we might have said no to them. And we feel, we don't want to feel unkind. We want to be the ones feeling kind to others, right? And because giving and receiving, if you give kindness to others, then you will receive kindness. So if we say yes to ourselves and no to others and ask for other people's help, we feel like we're being unkind. And then we're going to be remorseful for the things that we might have said. So then we don't say anything at all. Make sense? So then we don't ask for the help that we need. And we just take it on internally. Make sense? Any questions? Any insights? Anything come to anybody else? Okay, we're gonna just move on. You don't by chance have rose oil with you, do you?
Rose.
I was supposed to bring rose oil for this healing part, so we're just going to imagine roses. Just imagine like you're smelling roses, because I forgot that one thing. But I'm going to help clear the energy and realign these chakras. And this is all about I trust the universe. I am completely present to everything that surrounds me. Therefore, my life is fascinating, free of drama, unwanted circumstances, challenges, weighty issues, and fear. Life is bliss. And then I'm going to fill in this sentence, which may, for some of you, be like an affirmation or something to remember during the week. I now have the courage to fulfill my desire for authenticity, because I no longer feel fear that intimacy with this desire will cause me to be abandoned by loved ones. So I'll repeat that again. I now have the courage to fulfill my desire for authenticity, because I no longer fear that intimacy with this desire will cause me to be abandoned by loved ones. Make sense? Anybody need me to repeat that again? You're looking for the stone and it's right in front of your nose. So I'm now going to the, let me just check one more thing. I'm going to check to see if the shift has occurred. And as you can see, the pendulum is moving pretty big. If it weren't moving, then I'd have to do it all over again and go up and down the chakras again. So now we're going to go into the wonder. When all fear is gone, we act only with love. Love is a miracle, and the gates to heaven on earth are open, and we choose to walk in. So I'm going to do this for everybody. yours 3 times, and please take a deep breath in and out. So when all fear is gone, we act only with love. Life is a miracle, and the gates to heaven on earth are open. We choose to walk in. And that's just a sampling of what the 15-minute wonder is all about. Anybody have anything that happened during the session that they want to share? Anybody feel the energy shift? Okay, good. So this is one of the things that helps to kind of clear some of those blocks, and in this particular case, we all had a little bit of that inability to ask for what it is that we need on the level that we actually need so that we can take care of ourselves. And that's really the work that I do, is really helping you to identify what's the best way to nourish your physical body, but also how to find the activities that you love so that you do your movement therapy. Because if you don't love it, you're not going to do it. You know, it's about reconnecting to who you really are and creating that time so that you can actually make the time every day to do it, because that's something that you know that it will make you a better person on your level because you did that activity. Whether it's at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, and it's really identifying the foods that make you feel good and help you walk away from the ones that don't. All I'm doing is helping to connect the dots. So once you have that ability to start taking care of all those levels of you, then that stool is pretty secure. And you become immune to the actions and opinions of others. Those triggers are no longer there. So that the stress might still somewhat be there, but the reaction to the stress is gone. So then you can take care of you and you can have that balance. Because you can ask other people to help you do this task and something else. You can ask your kids to help you, your spouse, your friends, whoever it is, so that you can actually take care of yourself on a much greater level. Make sense? So I've got one of the programs that I offer is, it's called Be Whole, which is basically working with the nutrition and the energy work and anything and everything that it is that you need to be able to make some pretty significant headway on that. Next month, I'm starting a workshop called What About Me? And it's a 3-part series at the North Wales Whole Body Yoga Studio. And it is all about what about me. The first one is really to get that clarity of, well, what is it that makes your heart sing? What is it that you really want? And then the second one is all about, what is the second one all about? All of a sudden I just had
You can have it all.
You can have it all, right. So this is it's all about finding that time to take care of you so that you can take care of everybody else. And then the last one is all about, if it's not fun, don't do it. So it's really reconnecting you on all levels with the things that you really want to do to take care of you. Because if you don't take care of you, it's kind of like getting on that airplane, and what's the first thing that they mention in this, in the safety rules? Put your oxygen mask on first. You can try to put it on everybody else, but you're really no good dead. You know, you're really not any good to anybody, including yourself, if you're hyperventilating. So we have to find ways to take care of ourselves, even if it's 5 minutes a day to start with. Because once you start taking care of you, you are a better person for yourself and everyone around you. So that's what that workshop is all about. So I invite you to, I've got some flyers on the side to consider that. And then the 15-minute wonder, if you are interested in actually getting your own personal session, then I have those available tonight. You can sign up for $20 instead of the normal $45.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I some of you guys are very involved with energy healing. How often do you do that? Do you do that for yourself? Do you always have to have a mediator do it for somebody else?
So I'm a master practitioner with this Path to Heal work. And I have been working with it for over 8 years. I can do my own sessions, but I find it better and actually more healing, and it goes to a deeper level when I actually exchange with one of the other practitioners. And I typically exchange with with Rebecca, who created the modality. She happens to live in Westchester, but that's where the whole modality got created. I do at least one session a week. I do typically with clients, we start out with one, pretty much a package of 3 or 5, just to kind of get the movement going. Because one session with pretty much anything, one session is not going to be that great. You go once to the personal trainer. Well, is that really going to make an impact? Probably not. You need to go for a certain amount of time. And 3 to 5 sessions to start with once a week is a really good way to get the momentum going. And then, depending on the individual and what's going on, me as a practitioner, I pretty much do them as often as I possibly can, and I do at least two sessions a week. Because I'm the healer that also needs to be healed so that I can be the better healer for my clients. Does that make sense? But most of the time, clients will start with 3 to 5 sessions, and then they may do once a month, once every 2 weeks. They might just, something happened and I need help now. So monthly would be a good, like a continual renewal and a program. Make sense? Any other questions? I guess I should stand up again, right? You have a question? This is my muscle testing. I haven't learned how to do it with, silently, so this is it. So this is how I learned to get my yeses and nos, so that my ego doesn't get in the way. And when I have my fingers together, I ask it a yes and it opens, and a no, it's locked. So when I'm looking at all these, thousands of words on both sides, then I'm saying, okay, this column, this column, this column, and basically that's where I'm guided, that's how I'm guided, to use the words. Make sense? I don't walk around all day doing this. Sometimes it's like, if I'm really struggling with a decision of some sort, like, I'm just going to make it up, like, since I'm speaking, I had to come here today, but there's, sometimes you're going someplace and you're like, I don't really want to go. Should I go to the XYZ meeting? And you get a yes or a no. So then it's like, okay, even though I don't feel like it, I'm getting the guidance that I really do need to go. So I sometimes use it in that regard, but for the most part, it's really just for the healing.
That's something that's training that we all have in us, right?
Absolutely. This is something that anybody and everybody can learn. This is muscle testing that everybody can learn. Some people have a hard time with that, so that's where they use the pendulum. So you use the pendulum, and this is what years ago I was using the pendulum to actually test supplements. So I take the pendulum, and I actually figured out how I could do it with, just my keys too. And I would say, okay, give me a yes, and this is my yes. It spins to the right. Give me a no. And I would ask it, give me a maybe. And then, did you see how it moved? Yeah, so for me, my give me a yes, and it spins to the right. Give me a no, and it starts spinning to the left. Give me a maybe, and it goes sideways. So, and that's going to be different for every single person. So for me, it spins that way, but every single person is going to have a different way that the pendulum is going to work. It just takes a long time. If I had to do every single word, we'd be here for 45 minutes doing one of these sessions. So this ends up being just a faster way for me to get to basically the same thing. So this is basically disconnecting from my ego, which can really, that's where we mentalize ourselves out of certain decisions. And a lot of times we mentalize ourselves out of taking care of ourselves. So if we want to be the best we can be, we have to take care of ourselves on all levels so that we can really fuel the fun and fulfillment for body, mind, spirit, and sport. Because I've worked with a lot of athletes. And we're all athletes in here anyway, right? Thank you again for coming.